Testing, testing, testing. Hey, everybody, hang in there with me, man. Let's make sure we are live and in color. Yes, indeed. All right. Hey, all right. I can see ourselves and I can hear I think I can hear myself. If not, man, I hope you guys can hear me. Anyway, welcome to week 2 of 5-day challenge, man. Fellas, rising from silence, stepping into your ultimate truth. Oh yeah, that's right. So last week, man, we had a message all week long around stop hiding, and some men took that message home. And this week it's your turn, baby. So if you will allow me to kind of go through some things, and we'll get to why we're here. All right. So I got a couple of notes here, and man, I'm excited to be here today. The whole process around having this conversation with you guys and showing up like you did, and coming back again for another week of this opportunity is just amazing. So I want to say thank you, and just a couple of things. When you do catch if you're not here now and catch the replay, make sure let us know where you're coming in from. Let us know also how we may help you in something that we may not be talking about that's heavy on your heart that you're experiencing, or you know somebody that's out there experiencing it, and you want to help make a difference in their life, right? So, I mean, like I told you last week, we talked a message all week long around stop hiding, and a lot of men stopped hiding, and they took the truth home, right? At the end of the exercise, right? We go from day one, kind of like where the pain began, really kind of getting to that real root of where the pain began, why and what you're hiding from, and then how to turn it into strength, right? And then day 2. This week, silence that protects peace versus silence that is wisdom. That's a big one, right? Understanding which one you're really using to protect peace and wisdom, and which one is ruining your connection. Which one is ruining your connection? Behavior-wise, and we would go into that, right? And give you some exercises in each one of these days. And then day 3, man, in the blame, and lead your own life. And man, and then 4, speak hard truths. What's falling apart, or why you're fighting back. And the last thing is day 5. And each day you have an exercise, right? And in that exercise, we start to stack things on top of it. When you realize, man, I have been using this whole shutdown, this silent control mechanism as a way to kind of just keep myself protected and guarded. And I told you guys, man, all week long, I'm qualified for this, right? I lived it. Yes, I lived it, man. So when I'm talking to you, it's not about theory. It's lived and earned, right? In the boardrooms and in the field, doing all types of things. And man, at the end of the day, what I found out, like you will over these next 5 days, is that the work that it takes to go from hiding in silence to being brave and vulnerable is not that hard, not that difficult to be able to implement and make a change in your life right now today. All right, so who's this for? I mean, talked about it a little bit. It's a man who wins everywhere but at home. That provider, that provider that says, hey, listen, I am knocking it down financially. I am knocking it down lifestyle-wise. We've got everything that your heart desires. And we're doing all these wonderful things, traveling the world, if that's what you want, making community contributions. If you want to serve and help other people, just helping family, whatever those things are, you're killing it, or you're moving towards that direction. So you've got some stats, so the stats is in your life. But every time you get home and when the lights go off, right? It's about how we live when the lights aren't shining in our face that make the big difference. And those times, man, years ago when I was really trapped by this, when this was really kind of running my life, those situations of when I needed to lean in, I couldn't lean in. And eventually it got to where I leaned out, right, and blew up something. I don't know if you heard that message, fellas. I just said something. If you aren't able to lean in, eventually you're going to lean out too far, or she's going to lean out too far, and then you really got some problems, right? So that's why we're here today. That's why I'm going to continue in this messaging, because, man, I don't think people talk about it enough. So I said, hey, let me be the one that speaks about it, right? Let me be the one. Because when that door gets closed and you lose that opportunity, when she decides that it's over, brother, it's over. If it doesn't blow up and there's no decision to be made, it's already that's the decision, right? It's over, man. So let me make sure I'm on target here. We talked about what we did last week and the difference from day 1 to day 5 and how you can really make a difference in your life if you put the effort in it with some guidance. It's not really hard to do. So it doesn't take a lot of extra time to do what we're talking about, right? So we got that, and a little bit now about who's it for. For the man who feels strongest in the building, most distant, his own house. And the building of whatever that building might be, whatever the occupation might be, whatever the business might be, just killing it. But then you get home, you're like, you go silent and you make reasons, excuses as to why you're doing that. And the avoidance comes into the game. Arguing sometimes comes into the game. All the stepping stones away from the very person that you say you love and you want to keep on this side. And you're over here now. And you guys are getting further and further and further apart, right? So you get the message. But the promise this week is the same as last, man. Over these next 5 days, I tell you guys, it's been exciting working through some of the changes over the weekend and some things that, just kind of recapping from the week before. But over these 5 days from now, you'll stop hiding behind your silence. I want you to write this down. In these 5 days, when you hear this promise, in these 5 days, you'll stop hiding behind your silence. You'll stop hiding behind your silence and leading in your truth. And you'll say, so what does the truth look like? Well, today we're going to talk about that very thing. And each day we'll speak about what that truth looks like. But the best way to do that is to flip the image, right? And this practice that we've created, the mirror moment, where you begin to understand that, hey, man, let's take a look at ourselves. The person, you can't lie. Well, you can. I'm getting ready to say you can't lie to the person in the mirror. You can do whatever you want, right? Self-deception is a real thing. So, but the idea of really, and this is for the guys who really want to save their situation at home. It's broken, right? You may have gone to therapy and tried. You may have had couples therapy. That's not working. You may, whatever you're doing to kind of try and solve it, and it's still not working. But here's the hit, right? It's not what we put a label on it to be. It's not what we put a label on it to be. It's some really basic things about our human brain and our body and how we are conditioned by the conditions in our life. We are conditioned by the conditions in our life as we grow up, and we deal with them, and we have a level playing field, and our conscious pretty much is in line with our subconscious, and our identity is lined up with who we are, and so our thoughts and our actions, all those things move in the direction that allows us to be vulnerable and be a complete person in the conversation, which is not many of us. We usually have all these other conditions that we've learned to ignore it, and then we get life stuffed on top of all that stuff. So we just got a mess. But man, listen, that mess can come off you, baby, if you're ready to do some work, right? So let me stay on target here, man, because I don't want to keep y'all forever today or all week long. I mean, I appreciate the time that you take to come in and stop in and then check it out and see what we're doing here with this challenge of Eyes from Silence. So talk to you about this. Last thing I got to do is to tell you what to expect for those who want to know what you're going to be doing, right? We're going to get into that right now. And as we do that, I want you to be thinking about where this fits in your life. As each one of these days I mentioned, I want you to think about, once you get past the denial, well, if you're still with me, you already set the denial down now for a moment, right? And you're really into something that's going to change your life, right? First 5 days, live and free, where your pain became a hiding place and how it turned into strength, right? Where your pain became a hiding place and how silence turned into strength. And you're going to learn about that. What do I mean? Well, you're going to have really give you some things to think about to really kind of go back to where things really started. And I say this all the time, and I'll say it again because I think it's important, man. We're talking about relationships now, so I'm going to give you an example of and it's clear as a day, when my first encounter with, first of all, I don't like to have my feelings hurt, right? When I had feelings, when I could experience the feeling and let it hurt before I started covering it up with all the other things, right? The crazy chaos of my life. Anyways, when my feelings got hurt when I was a young boy in a group of people, and I told a girl I liked her or something, and she was like, oh man, that was like, she just blasted me, and everybody around me blasted me, right? So I'm this guy now, I'm this little boy, and I'm thinking, I'll never do that again. I'll never let this happen to me again when it comes to a woman. Right. And I made an effort for the first half of my life thinking that way. Right. Stacking things on top of things, ignoring how to really deal with my feelings and how to deal with my emotions. Didn't understand the power of vulnerability, the power of surrendering, asking for help, all those things, right? Because I was that guy that I talked about. Right. So day 2, silence that protects the peace. Understanding the difference between silence that protects the peace and silence that kills the connection, right? Because listen, it makes sense to have some silence sometimes before you put your foot in your mouth, right? Would you agree? I mean, there's some reasons to believe that it's a good thing, but at what point does it go the other way, right? And went the other way for me right away after I realized, whoa, I'm never going to say nothing about how I'm feeling to anybody. I told you that example, right? So number 3, day 3, end the blame. And look, we got to stop blaming and lead your life. Start taking responsibilities, man. I want to just talk about this leadership piece for just a minute, guys, because the leadership is everything. Man, just think about it. If you're able to really stand true to yourself, right, at home, where it matters more than however much money you're making, if you're raising a family, if you're raising children, if you don't have children and you want to have a power couple situation, man, there's nothing like y'all being connected like this. And I found that out through going through, many things in my life with my current wife, and we've been married 15 years this year. So you can recover. That's why they come back in, right? 15 years this year. And I found out just multiple times throughout our relationship and more. Another example 3 years ago in another month when we had to go through an opportunity to go through prostate surgery and removal and all the things that go around that particular issue and all the things in my head and right. Am I going to be able to satisfy? Or am I going to be limp noodle? And all that stuff that happens in the thought process, right? Water my diapers all the time, all that stuff, man. And she lined up with me. It's lined up still today. And all those things I worried about, man, I'm not living through it anymore. And I don't have those problems. And I told her, hey, I'm afraid. I don't know what's going to happen. Help me talk to you. Help me lean into you. Here's what I'm struggling with. Here's why I'm struggling as a man. There's some things I still haven't resolved around myself, being able to communicate at this level, asking for help. You guys get the message, right? I'm gonna let you know I qualify, baby. So when you really decide that, man, I'm gonna raise my hand, because this is not a sexy conversation to have. I don't have people knocking down the doors trying to get into this conversation. Like me, it fell on deaf ears for a long time. Sooner or later, it's gonna wake you up. Day 4, speak hard truths without falling apart. In other words, when you like I just gave you an example of when I talked to her about my fears and concerns around the prostate, asking for help. Hard truth for me, man. Even though it's the obvious, it's hard truth. Falling apart, not fighting back, right? And then in day 5, you do a little exercise. You take everything that you've done over those days and you write up something that you can go home to her with. Something that's been burning you up already, something that's current in your life, man. It's something that can make a difference in how she receives you and how you receive her. So the outcomes, man, you won't just feel different. It's not going to be just about how I feel different. You clean out that trash can, man. You'll get to some things that you've been avoiding sometimes avoiding for years. But we don't have time to get into all that in those 5 days, but a lot of people, it's an opportunity to connect with me so we can really drill down on those things, right? Give you some things that help to reset. Then in that mirror moment, you're aware of things now, you're looking at your behavior patterns, right? What's triggering you, what still has fed to these behavior patterns that are spiraling you out of control, and that identity that you look back at yourself at will change, right? And there's new boundaries around. Oh man, just amazing. So gotta do some work though, baby, right? You tell the truth on purpose. Tell the truth on purpose, man. Not just because you want something, not because it's a manipulative, right? Like the strong man you already are. I encourage you to know that you can become the man that the family needs you on the other side. I mean, you can certainly become that man. So the invitation is this rise from silence is free. Yes, you got to do some work. And obviously there's a VIP option in this thing for you if you want to have these recordings and you want to be able to get some additional bonuses. I mean, there's the bonuses that provide conversations that we can have privately. There's some tools that I've used to help do those very things, give you some examples of what's going on currently so that you can kind of understand the power of change because you can see it in your current life and then work backwards to that little boy, whoever you are, whatever point you might have been like I was, that is like waiting for you to come back and say, okay, let's grow up together. I was talking to a young lady the other day she's 67 years old. She said, but I'll turn 13. Check this out. She said, I'll turn 13 in a couple more days. And what she was referencing is what we're talking about today. That person that gave her life. She didn't know who she was. Her identity was lost because she chose to, because she was in situations that, what do you do? How do I do this? So people, so she didn't really learn how to be emotionally fit for herself. And over the last 13 years, that's what she's been working on. She's 67 years old. So we're never too old to go back. But it's necessary to go back, to continue to go old in peace and with purpose. So I welcome you. I welcome you to the challenge. I think I covered everything. And so let's get to what we're here to do today. And I do have some homework for you, but I really like you to think about, and these are just some quick hits to kind of get you set up to where you can really understand that there's some truth to when I say excuses. There's some truth to avoiding. There's some truth to the things that we was talking about at the very beginning, where I was convinced that it's not me. And there's nothing wrong with me. I'm doing all the things that are right. And vulnerability is I am vulnerable. Ooh, how many times have we said, I'm vulnerable? That's me. How many times have we raised our hand for that? Right? But really, are you really vulnerable? Pick something last week when she really needed you to talk to her. When she really needed you to listen. And were you too busy to really listen? Were you looking at her but thinking about something else? Were you distracted? Are distractions still showing up in your life at home when you're off the clock, right? When you're off the phone and you're sitting there together and you're not even present? She knows that. And now let's just flip the switch. You're in a conversation that leads to something that's still unresolved from the week before, and you choose to go over here. So now she's here and you're over here, and then you're trying to get back to the middle, and she says something else, and you get a little further, and then all of a sudden you just decide, hey, I'm done. I don't want to argue anymore. Right? You justify it in your head. Well, if I argue, I'll say some things, and you probably had already in the past that I'm going to regret. So I choose to just do this because I'm right. You don't say that I'm right, but that's what we've convinced ourselves of. That, man, it'll be all right tomorrow. And she'll probably say yes. And I'm going to tell you something, right? There's two things. There's two outcomes, or two situations. One is, and I want you to hear me when I'm saying this, because I want you to think about it where you are, right? Whether you're married or getting married or whatever, but I want you to think about what I'm going to say to you, because this is the real truth, right? If, in fact, You feel like the silence treatment, the processing of not responding when it gets too deep, when you and all that stuff, and your partner accepts that. I mean, accepts that, or at least takes the pressure off and goes back to doing whatever she can for you. Well, you already know what kind of relationship that is, and it's not one that's going to last a long time. All right. Now unless you do something. So if you're married and you hear me say that, then you better figure something out, right? Both of y'all. Because if she puts up with it and you continue to practice it and everybody's fine, man, there's some problems. There's some problems in that relationship. If you want to know more about it, call me up. Let's have a call around, a conversation around. But there's some real issues in that because sick people attract sick people. I was that person. Right? And that's the one. That's the one scenario where you got that going on. So you say, Jeff, man, she's cool. She don't care. She's all right. You know, she'll be all right. How many times you say she'll be all right? And then over here, you got the one that you've kind of been growing through these things. And this is the last piece. You know, I'm talking about guys that really want to work on themselves, to be the best person that they can be, not just a performer, but a person that has purpose and a person that wants to connect and really grow through union with their partner. That's going to require some work. And you're still stumbling. So I just want to reset that, make sure you know you're in the right place. If you're like, hey, I got it. You know what I mean about that other one, that other relationship scenario. Everybody knows what that means, right? So over here is the one that you really had to get fixed. And if you're really kind of like, man, I'm trying everything. I think I'm being honest, but you're not really. But she sees that, and a powerful woman will always tolerate that nonsense for so long. So if she's walking away when you get to that space and she's putting her hand up and the flag up sooner and then she's going on about her business, there ain't gonna be but so many more times when you find yourself all by yourself with that, man. Right? So do y'all hear me? I hope you hear me, man. I mean, this is not rocket science. No. This is just the truth, man. So I want to just kind of get back to what I was talking about. Because that piece alone is a lot of conversation. So what I'd like you to do is work with me now. I appreciate hey Grace, thanks for stopping in. And I appreciate you guys doing a little exercise with me. And I'm gonna leave this in document form if you want it for later. But here's the thing what I want you to do today, because day one is, we're going to identify a hiding map. I call it the hiding map, right? When we start hiding, what's that look like? And how do you find that out? It's kind of think about the last 3 times, fellas, and ladies, you too, if you're stopping in here, do this exercise, because you're dealing with the guy, your husband, or whatever. So, right? I mean, so if you're there, think about this. When's the last time I'm gonna say that, when's the last time he did this, went silent, and fellas, when's the last time you went silent with her? Right? And do beside each one of those examples, name what you were actually protecting. What do I mean by that? What do what were you actually protecting? And then I'm gonna give you some examples so you can figure this one out. Were you protecting your pride? Did it sting against your pride? I put an ego, right? Were you protecting the fear of whatever that might be, the fear of losing control in the state of vulnerability, the fear of appearing to be weak when you show signs like what I'm talking about? It's not weakness, it's strength. Anyway, with a little boy, here's the hit. Or a little boy who learned that honesty was a dangerous situation. And if you're really honest, there's probably some of all of that in there, but the real underlying root of what we're talking about is that little boy who learned that honesty was dangerous. I already told y'all, man, how it was for me and if you're coming in late, I gave an example about when I was a young man and early first love kind of thing. It wasn't really love, but it was like girls. And I said I liked the girl and a group of people, and everybody she laughed. She said, "Oh, you," and laughed at me, and everybody pointed their fingers at me. So I really, man, my feelings got hurt. But I didn't have anywhere to take that. I didn't know that that's what was going on. I thought there was something wrong with me, right? But anyway, so that little boy that we all carry around at some level in our lives. And like, hey, the last 32 years, I'm fortunate and grateful that I've worked on that little boy. So me and that little boy ride strong together, right? But he's only half my age. Right? What do I mean by that? I mean, just like I was giving you an example of a 67-year-old woman I was talking to the other day, and she told me she's 13 years old because she's just not finding out about herself for real, right? And it took me the first 30-something years to figure out that I didn't know anything about what I spent the last 30 years. So I'm a young man in the space of emotion and vulnerability. But it works, right? So anyway, what are we talking about? Write down what it was. And it's this thing y'all want you to do in private, right? Write it down in private, man. And ladies, if you're hearing it and you can help him out, right? I mean, hey, I encourage y'all to work together on this stuff and this exercise. I mean, we are geared towards men this week, but we do also help women in this situation, understanding the things that you need to be able to do to take care of yourself in these situations. Right? Let me see what else I got on this one. So we're doing that. There's one more problem I don't see it with you. But I want you to tell the truth. Really, really tell the truth, though, because it doesn't work otherwise. If you don't get in the mirror, man, then this mirror moment is powerful because it's going to help you become aware of things that have been stuffed so far down in your spiritual soul that they're still breathing and they're still saying, help me, but you can't hear the voice because you got ego and everything else running around, making sure everything looks good on the outside and keeping it all together when on the inside you're falling apart, man. I still call it sometimes the dressed up garbage can lifestyle, right? Ooh, yeah. You know what a garbage can smells like, right? On the outside, though, and I used to have really shiny garbage cans a long time ago. Shiny and stainless steel and whatever that was, aluminum, man. On the inside, baby, it was terrible. And that's your feelings, that's your emotions, that's your unhealed pain that you suffer, that I suffer. So when I talk to you about these things, I want you to know that it's a real thing, man. It's a real thing to really be in a space where you're responding to things that you haven't healed in years. Anyway, so I think I've got something in here for you. If you do this exercise, what does your silence usually protect? Is the end thing. I want you to spend some time thinking about what does it usually protect? I gave you some examples. Because you know what? I like to tell you that you can resolve these things with no work. I like to tell you that these things are easy to get around, but they're not, right? The encouraging word I want to leave with you today is this, though, right? If you just think about this for a minute, I'm talking to the cats out there getting down. I ain't talking about the brothers out there that need some, they just kind of sliding by and not interested in making their life better for themselves first, right? Healing that unhealed wound, right? Finding real legitimate self-love, right? Because when you can really embrace self-love. I mean, I'm gonna say this. I thought I liked myself. I did. I hated myself for a lot of years. This is the real truth, fellas. This is a piece of us that we are exposing, that we really don't feel good about who we are. So we cover it up with success. We cover it up with all the things that look good on the outside. That's really kind of the overall 30,000 feet up kind of situation. So if you're really listening to me and you hear that, then you know what I'm saying to you is true, right? This is a big cover up. And maybe, we can look in the mirror and we can kind of like ourselves, but there's no real deep love for ourselves. And through this exercise, man, that's the benefit of really doing this. And the first thing is being aware of, man. What Jeff is saying is, I know it's kind of true. Yeah. I mean, because when I close the doors and I'm looking in the mirror, when I do look in the mirror and I look for that person looking back at me for satisfaction, there's some things a little off in that, right? You can see it, but you don't want to see it, right? I mean, because you know that there's some things that you're not operating at full speed, unconditional love. You're not operating in a space where you truly are proud to be who you are and vulnerably and emotionally dialed in. All those things that used to be the idea of being weak and all that nonsense. That's nonsense, man. I hear guys talk about all the time. Well, man, she did this to me, and so I can only go so far. So how do you do that? How do you only go so far in a relationship? How do you only go so far that when you're feeling a certain way, and how can you stop that? Really? And why would you want to? I got why. It's not that, but I know why you would want to. But listen to me what I'm saying, man. Because you really want to be the deepest of deepest leaders, man. I mean, Gandhi and Nelson Mandela, them cats, man, they may have been some different things, but where they stood truthfully on who they were inside and out. So I ask you, I'm asking you a lot today, and forgive me for not asking for permission. And you know what? I realized I've been talking to y'all for a while. I don't know that I've ever really formally introduced myself. Right? Well, if I haven't, let me do that now. I don't think I have, man, but it's been a crazy day. So my name is Jeff Tyson. I'm affectionately known as the Comeback King. And I got that name from folks over the last 30-something years that have seen my life, and just like yours, have stepped through things that, man, the comebacks in our lives are the gifts, not the roadblocks, not the limitations. Those comebacks have built us into who we're supposed to be. And there's going to be more. And the more we embrace them, the more we celebrate them instead of complain and whine about them, let them defeat us. The closer we get to our gift. For those of you that believe in something greater than yourself, man, and if you believe that you were born in his likeness, then you are inheritance of his gifts, man. But we got a lot to be celebrating and nothing to be complaining about, right? So which way are you taking your life? Are you celebrating when it gets difficult? Right? Are you whining and complaining? Or are you stepping into the thing where, hey, I want to learn how to be a better person. I want to learn how to be a man that doesn't use silence as a weapon. I want to learn how to stand in my own pain comfortably with the woman that I call my wife or my partner that I love. Because I've learned how to love myself. That's kind of the whole full circle around. The deeper we learn to love ourselves, the more capable we are of loving others and allowing others inside. It's time to put down the walls, fellas. It's time to step into something that we are only a few conversations away from. And yeah, maybe I say a few, there may be some long conversations. Right? There may be some long conversations, but they're real conversations that can help us get free. So tomorrow, I want you to do this exercise, and because tomorrow, man, we're going to talk about how you transition from that thought and then how you choose to either be quiet because you don't want to put your foot in your mouth and get your head chopped off, right? Or you're using it as an excuse, hiding behind the fears as a common practice. Which one is it for you? So that's what I have for you today. I want to thank Comeback King Enterprises for helping us put this on together. We are looking forward to the next 4 days with you and encourage you to share this information with your friends. And when you hear the replay, make sure you let us know where you're coming from. And I believe you also have an opportunity, man, to take advantage of. We still have that going on. Man, I don't see it in the comment section. Let me see if there's something in there for you that we can provide for you. And it's all around the VIP piece of it, because there's going to certainly be, man, I don't think it's in there. Yeah, we don't have it in there. I don't see it there. Oh, yeah, there we go. So I'm going to put that in the chat for you and make sure that you get access to that. Because here's the thing. The exercises and the conversations we're going to have. We got a couple of guest speakers coming in the rest of the week. On Thursday, Jerry, brother from California, coming in, and another young man going to be in on Friday. So we're going to have some guest speakers in here. So you're going to want to get copies of that. And I have 2 or 3 different opportunities to have an hour or so free calls. And after we set together a roadmap and really build some things, right? So that if you decide to move away from me, that you've got something that you can help reset your pattern, right? Kind of create your own Uber or Airbnb, change in your life, disrupt the things that you've been doing, man. Be that your own personal disruptor. Come on, man. It's time, fellas. It's time. So yeah, I do have the VIP link in here, man, and you can take a look at that. We had some specials, and those are over. as of last night. So, but we do continue to extend the VIP. And I think it's $27, man. It's the cheapest I've ever had VIP is $27. My coach said, man, just give it away at $27. Why not? Right? Because men, we need to know that it's okay to be not sure about how to really deal with something so important as our feelings and our emotions, because some things that we refuse to talk about or deal with it, that we said we would take. How many of you out there say, I'm going to take certain things to the grave? How many, is anybody out there that say, oh, man, listen, I'm taking this one to the grave, man. Right? I mean, I had a posse back in the day when I was just a no good guy, right? And there were many things that we would take to the grave. Hey, Dr. Gwen, thanks for stopping in. And Dr. Gwen, I think I'm gonna have her come and show up. I can convince her to come speak to us, right? Yeah, fellas, powerful, military, retired, real estate genius, just a powerful woman. Anyway, so I'm wrapping it up today. Think about this. VIP is a powerful option for those of you that really want to continue the information. And I want to thank everyone that's going to probably catch the replay. Hey, good afternoon, Dr. Gwen. How you doing? You heard me asking, I think that your messaging would be a great piece of, I was going to reach out to you today, so I'm just going to ask you, put you on the spot. Maybe a yes or no. But are you available this week, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock Central Time? I got a lot of nerve, don't I? Hey, Dr. Gwen, I love and respect you. So either way, however you might feel about this, I think what you would have to say to contribute. We're talking about men who choose to go silent. We're talking about men who use silence as a weapon and how it impacts you as a female. Okay, yeah, appreciate that. I look forward to it. But, because I've always admired our conversations. Anyway, guys, I'm going to let you go. This has been really helpful for me today to be able to show up. And thank you for allowing me to just be who I am. Dr. Gwen, I look for your inbox. Everybody else that catches the replay, make sure you consider leaving your name, DMing me for more information about the VIP if you have any more questions. And let's take this journey this week together. And let's stop using silence as a weapon. And let's rise from silence and step into our real truth as men. Fellas, it's time. They need us. We need to do that for ourselves. And most importantly, we need to do that for the people that we say we love. Because I don't care how powerful a leader you are. If you can't balance the real emotions when it's difficult, that's the most difficult time. At home, there's something missing. It's time to fill that gap. All right. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Hey, what you going to do? You're going to show up 1 o'clock Central Time. And I think the registration is still in the description. Or VIP is still in the description. And we'll see y'all tomorrow. Have a great day. Dr. Brent, thanks for stopping in. And I believe there's another people. I'm sorry if I didn't get all y'all names today, man. I'll do better tomorrow. Come back tomorrow with me. Let's have a great day. I'll talk to you, Dr. Brent. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.